Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Ashton Jackson, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how two people for the Dallas Cowboys are on the hot seat. So before we hop into the video, I appreciate if you guys would like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content, man. And so hopping straight into it, it's two obvious answers. It's Dak Prescott and it's Coach Mark McCarthy, man. Both players, both guys that would want to see on the Dallas Cowboys for the long-term future. But we just got to know that, something has to give long-term, really. But for sure, if we want to make sure that both of these guys are here long-term, we got to at least make it to a conference title or make it to a Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. So really, for me, you just look at this conference. First, I'm talking about the conference, and I'm talking about how the head coach tenures has been under Jerry Jones. I'm not, like I said, I'm excluding Tom Landry. So if you just look at this conference, it comes down to a three-team race that comes with the Niners, the Eagles, and then us, the Dallas Cowboys. Really, it comes down to, that's three teams, three overall good teams, but really it comes down to, for me, two teams because it comes down to Philly and it comes down to us because we have the two best quarterbacks in the conference. The reason why I'm still not disrespecting the Niners, I'm putting them up there top three regardless, is because they have a top five, top three, coach in the NFL. And then you got to also include the roster from top to bottom. If you exclude quarterback, they have a really great roster overall. That's the only missing piece, is that they don't have a real quarterback. So really, there's no excuses as for what the Dallas Cowboys should be able to do this season, especially with the roster that you did build. You built an overall contending roster. You've been doing that for, the past, ever since what Mike McCarthy, you've been doing it for the past two seasons where you had an open window to go to the Super Bowl. And last year was a really great chance with Aaron Rodgers not making it, Tom Brady not being the same. But the Dallas Cowboys just didn't have wide receiver 2 and cornerback 2. And if they had both of those, if they had Cooks and they had Gilmore last year, you're looking at the team a lot different than it was last year when they fell flat on their face against the Niners in the second round. So that's one thing. You are going to be a top 3 contending team. You have a top 2 quarterback in the conference overall. If recency bias is your thing, and for instance, the new Spider-Man movie that came out, everyone saw the new Miles Morales Spider-Man movie, and everyone claimed that was the best of all time. So if you think you saw Jalen Hurts for one season have a really great MVP-like season, you think he's the best quarterback in the league or he's the best quarterback in the conference, that's fine. I don't blame you. But, 2, for me, it's no debate. It's Dak Prescott, unless, like I said, recency bias is your thing. Geno Smith. Same thing, recency bias is your thing. It's one hell of a drug, but Jared Goff, sure, if you want to go number 2. But Brock Purdy, no. Trey Lance, no. You'll be really bold to say that, but it just comes out for me, 2 quarterbacks are really the best. And, of course, if Brock Purdy or Trey Lance don't mess up and, they make certain throws here and there, they definitely are top team in a conference in the league as well. So, like I said, really the head coaching tenures under the Jerry Jones administration, you got Jimmy Johnson, who's been here from 1989 to 1993. You guys already know what he did. There's nothing really to talk about for me. He only has 2 Super Bowl wins, but that were back to back. But for me, I feel like that's 3. Because everyone, if you watch that documentary when they won that Super Bowl, their last Super Bowl of that dynasty, that they claimed that Barry Switzer was a good coach, which he was, led him to a 40-24 overall record. But everyone says that was Jimmy Johnson's team when Barry Switzer had won it, which was true. All the players said it, and you just look at that team, outside of Larry Allen, Jimmy Johnson did all the main work, and just Barry Switzer had to go there and micromanage. He would have been fine. So Jimmy Johnson was here from 89 to 93. So that's 5 seasons in total that Jimmy Johnson was here, not for long. If you look at it, if you look at certain coaches like Andy Reid, he's been with the Kansas City Chiefs for almost a decade at this point. Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach for the San Francisco 49ers since 2017. You look at Mike Tomlin, he's been there for a decade plus. Belichick has been there for same thing, a decade plus, almost 20 years, both with Tomlin and with Belichick. Pete Carroll has been there for a very long time as well. So, Dallas Cowboys with Jerry Jones, head coaches don't last long. So Switzer was here from 94 to 97. That's 4 seasons. Chan Gailey was here for 2 seasons. Dave Camper, who was trash. He was only here for 3 seasons from 2000 to 2002. Bill Parcells was here for 2003 to 2006. That was the only thing closest to Jimmy Johnson that we could have got if Jerry Jones didn't want to be the superstar of the organization. Bill Parcells was a great coach, passed with our division rivals with this New York Giants. So you have that, and then you got Wade Phillips, who was here from 07 to 2010. So 4 years. You got Jason Garrett, who has been the longest tenured head coach here underneath the Garrett administration. The Jerry Jones administration. So he's been here from 2011 to 2019. He had a 2-3 playoff record, which was trash. We only made it to the playoffs 3 times, and we were inconsistent. And then we have Mike McCarthy, who's been here since the 2020 season. So far, has been 4 seasons. Of course, we made the playoffs 2 times, which is crucial that we made it back-to-back, which is something that we have never done with Jason Garrett. And Coach Mike McCarthy has a 1-2 record in the playoffs for the Dallas Cowboys right now. So, like I said, you're going to have a top 3 contending team. You have no excuses this year if your roster is relatively healthy. You have no major injuries. Like if you don't have your second best offensive lineman doesn't go down. You don't have any major injuries at cornerback 2 or wide receiver 2. You should be fine. But I think the only position I'm looking at this year that the Dallas Cowboys should be proactive in, and Mike McCarthy should speak up, is getting either another solid back for you that can back up Tony Pollard, or see what the offensive line can do, whether you get a veteran that gets cut or is on the trade block. So those are things to look out for. But the only thing I want to say about Mike McCarthy really is that I have faith in him to do what he has to do. I understand he also knows that he's underneath scrutiny and underneath he is on the hot seat because, the Dallas Cowboys are giving him every opportunity to fail. They're having him could bring in his style of coaching in terms of his offensive scheme, philosophy. He brought in Brian Schottenheimer. He brought in a new offensive line coach, new quarterbacks coach. So we're having a little bit of things, shake up here. And Mike McCarthy said in an interview before that this is the first time underneath his tenure that we're running our own things. When Mike McCarthy came in 2020, he was tied to the hip with Kellen Moore. So since he couldn't do anything offensively, he had to switch it up and get some of his guys defensively. Obviously, that didn't work at all. And, so we got new guys in. And then now offensively, we're getting, from that season, since the 2020 season, almost 3 years later, we're finally getting Mike McCarthy's input on the offensive scheme. But the mentality of the players, he's already instilled that into his players. Tough, gritty-nosed football players. So other than that, there's one thing I want to talk about with Mike McCarthy. I just want him to do a lot better, and is that when we're coming off these long breaks from playing football. So week 1, every single time week 1 that we played underneath Jason Garrett for 10 years, we never came out on fire. 2019 we did, but it took us a little bit to get going. So every single time we made, that was a constant thing with Jason Garrett. Every time you would lose week 1, we would make the playoffs. Same thing has happened with Mike McCarthy, but at the root of it, we've been slow to come out every single time we come out of long breaks. Week 1s are obviously one. You look at this past year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In 2022, we came out sloppy. 2021, we came out on fire, but we didn't end the game like how we wanted to. 2020 was the same thing against the LA Rams. 2019, we started a little bit out slow against the New York Giants. So 2018, you came out slow against the Carolina Panthers. So anyway, for bye weeks, you look at bye weeks as well against the Green Bay Packers. This past year, you look at the year before that, after you came out of the bye week against the Minnesota Vikings, you came out slow against the Denver Broncos, and they blew you out the water. So coming out slow is a constant theme with the Dallas Cowboys. It comes really with Dak Prescott, and for me this year, he's not going to have any excuses. You have Brandon Cooks. You're filling out wide receiver 2. You're coming into year 7 of your NFL, your NFL career. Finally, you're having already with the best defense in the league, or you're going to at least have a top 3 defensive team in the league. You're up there with the Niners, and then if you want to throw in, like I said, you want to throw in Philly, you want to throw in Pittsburgh, if you want to throw in Denver, you want to throw in potentially maybe the Seahawks, you want to throw in a couple of different defensive teams in there. Kansas City, if you respect Kansas City that highly defensively. So you're coming in with a, like I said, a top 3 defense. You're gonna come in with a top 5 offense, I believe. So you're gonna have top 5 in offense, defense. You're finally in fixing your run game with bringing in Mozzie Smith and resigning Jonathan Hankins, bringing back a guy like Leighton Vander Esch. So you're gonna have help on the run stopping end of things. But for me, if you're Dallas Cowboys, you gotta do something, because in 2024, so next year, you're going to possibly, you can either have a potential out of his contract, or you're going to have to eat $60 million worth of his deal if you were to keep him. Now, you have to eat $60 million whether you let him go or you keep him. So with the Dallas Cowboys, you got to look into possibly extending him. And like I said, he's on the hot seat because there hasn't been a contract yet made for him to possibly extend his years out. And honestly, I don't think even if the Dallas Cowboys want to keep him, I don't think he's going to want to restructure his deal, because after 2018 or 2019, that 2018-2019 season rather, both, Dak and his agency has split ways. His original agency he let go because he knew he was in line to go get a major contract, major life altering, generational wealth type of contract, to where he needed a new agency. He needed an agency that knew what they were doing and got and represented their clients very well and got them major contracts. He switched. I forgot what his original agency was, but his current agent now is Todd France of CAA Sports. And then that's when they inked that major deal. So right now he's enduring almost a $27 million cap hit for this year's cap. And then 2024, he'll be taking, so like I said, he'll be taking $60 million off the cap. So if the Dallas Cowboys, you got to look into re-signing him. Now, it could be a good or a bad thing if they don't re-sign him. Now, if they don't re-sign him, they can just eat the contract. If things don't work out, let's say if things don't work out, the Dallas Cowboys can get out the deal, and possibly you'll be looking for your new quarterback in 2024, which I don't think they will. But if Dallas Cowboys are filling that bowl, they will. If things go right, I think the Dallas Cowboys are still going to have to eat the $60 million, because Dak Prescott, the only reason why he signed a 4-year deal and not a 5-year deal like players like Jalen Smith, the offensive line, Ezekiel Elliott, and that's because he wants to hit the market and at the end of his contract. So that's why he's able to get, that's why he's able to partake in the new salary cap when it gets risen from the new TV deals, the new $1 billion TV deals that comes out dang near weekly at this point in sports leagues. So the more we turn into these streaming platforms, the more expensive, a lot more expensive these deals are going to get. And with the bigger the deals, bigger network deals, the more salary cap each team has. So Dak Prescott has no excuses, like I said. There are going to be some weaknesses, I think, on your team in general. No one has a perfect team when they go on to the Super Bowl. There's always a weak link or a position that you wish you had a little bit better on. You can say that for every single team, that 2 teams that played in the Super Bowl. If you just look at last year's, you would have wished, if you were the Kansas City Chiefs, you would have wished that they had a better wide receiver core, even a pass rushing group to get after Jalen Hurts. With the Eagles, you would want to say either a dynamic running back or someone up top like safety that was like tremendous, or a game-changing linebacker, because you already have a solid pass rush. If you look at the year before, the Bengals wish that they had a better offensive line. The Rams wish they probably had a better, secondary going into that game. So that's why they weren't getting torched by T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So for me, that just just goes to let you know that all those guys, they went through turbulence and adversity to get to the Super Bowl, and that's the Dallas Cowboys are going to have to do. Because after the end of every single year, we always complain about how we didn't have this, we didn't have that. But if you take back and you look at it in retrospect, there's some things that you're just not going to have on your team. You're not going to have a Pro Bowl. You're not going to have a Pro Bowler and all pro at your position, at every single position on the field. So that's why it's key for you to have solid starters, which the Dallas Cowboys do a really great job of bringing in guys who are great role players. And I just think the Dallas Cowboys, if they just stay healthy, we take care of business, we're going to be able to do what we want to do. So, yeah, man, that's about it for the video. Like I said, the two most scrutinized two people that are on the hot seat are going to be Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy, just he has to win the Super Bowl, has to go to a conference title game to keep his head coaching job. And also, other than Jason Garrett, outside of that, you don't last long underneath the Jerry Jones administration. Dak Prescott, they have a potential out to get out of your contract year 3. They're going to be eating $60 million worth of your contract, but it lessens year after year. So, and again, your top 3 team, the NFC, and if some things break your way, because that's another thing that happens with Super Bowl rosters, is that some things break their way, whether it's injuries, whether it is players have brain farts, and teams mess up when they come play you. And, you got to capitalize on those. So that's about it for the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.